it's Alice, and because we have made it halfway through this year already, I thought I would do a mid-year check-in and see how my reading is going so far. So you may know that I keep track of my reading, not just on Goodreads, but also in this spreadsheet that I made, and every time I finish a book, I put it into that spreadsheet and it keeps track of like certain things. Like there are some things that I try to focus on with my reading, and that just like calculates everything for me and keeps track of everything, which really helps me. And we're just gonna go through some of that today and see how it's all going. So as of filming this, I have finished 51 books and my goal is to read 100 this year. And you know, we're about halfway through the year and I'm about halfway through that goal, so I feel like that's going pretty alright. Now, I'm actually kind of surprised that I've managed to read that much this year and I've managed to keep up with that goal. I'm really happy with it because this spring for me was like really rough. Like I felt so slumpy and Oslo was in lockdown and I was out of work, and for some reason, I just really struggled with it mentally and I didn't want to do anything, let alone read. So the fact that I managed to read at least a little bit, even if it wasn't as much as I usually do, I'm really, really happy with that. I'm happy that I managed to keep up with that goal without like stressing about it too much. Obviously, I could have probably read quite a lot more in those months because I wasn't going to work, but you know, it just is what it is, and I'm happy that I've made it halfway through the year and halfway through that goal. I haven't really been focusing on any of my other reading goals at all, like trying to read more of certain things because I just wasn't in the mood for it, and I just tried to just pick up whatever I wanted to read in the moment with sort of varying success. But there are some things that I want to try to focus on for the rest of the year, but we'll go through all of that. So for some stats, 35 of the books that I've read so far have been fiction, which makes up 69%, and 16 have been nonfiction, which makes up 31%. And I've felt more drawn to nonfiction this year than usual, which is really fun. And I feel like this balance between fiction and nonfiction works really well for me right now. 9 of the books that I read were in Norwegian, which makes up 18%, and 42 were in English, which makes up 82%. And this I'm really, really happy with because for years and years I didn't read anything in Norwegian. So for almost a fifth of my reading to be in Norwegian right now, I am just really happy with. None of the books that I've read so far this year have been rereads, and this I really want to remedy because I really do want to try to get better at rereading, and I have like 1, maybe 2 books that I know I'm gonna reread this fall, but I kind of want to try to do more than that as well. So I'm gonna try to work on this a little bit, and I do kind of feel like when you're in a slumpy mood, rereading favorites is usually a good idea, so I really should have tried this out and done some more of it. But for the rest of the year, I'm gonna try to do a little bit of it at least. 8 of the books that I have read have been translated, which is 16%, and 42 were not, which is 84%. This is one of those goals I want to try to like work on. I feel like I've done alright with it, but I also know that some of those 8 books were like books translated from Swedish to Norwegian, and I kind of want to read translated books that are also like from further away from me, if that makes sense. So I kind of want to work on this a little bit for the rest of the year and try to make it happen more often. I've read 1 classic this year so far, and 50 of the books that I've read were not classics. And this is just, I'm not gonna stress about this. I don't feel like reading classics these days that much, so you know, I might end up trying to reread some of my favorites this fall, but this goal this year is just gonna have to like be what it is. 13 of the books that I've read, so 25%, were books in a series and the rest were not, which is fine. And then 12 of the books that I've read have been by BAME/BIPOC authors, and that is about 24%. And 39 books, which is 76%, were not. This, I think I can do a little bit better with, but so far I'm okay with that number. I can just try to like focus on that a little bit more for the rest of the year. Now, 67 of the books that I have read have been by women, 29% have been by men, and then 4% have been by others, which is either books that have been written by several authors or by non-binary authors. And I, for some reason, always read like more women than anything else, so this is pretty standard for me. When it comes to ratings, I have given 2 books 1 star, 8 books 2 stars, 16 books 3 stars, 18 books 4 stars, and 7 books 5 stars. And I'm really happy with that because even though I've read a couple of duds, I have read a lot of really good books this year, and I have a lot of like 4 and 5 star reads, which is fantastic. Now, the books that I've given 5 stars to, I thought I would just quickly go through because they're my favorite books that I've read so far this year. So we have The 100 Nights of Hero by Isabel Greenberg, which is a fantastic graphic novel. We have Know My Name by Chanel Miller, which is a memoir. We have This Green and Pleasant Land by Aisha Malik, which is like contemporary literary fiction. We have Crazy for Birds by Misha Meiernick Blaze, which is an illustrated nonfiction book about birds. Then we have The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa, which is, I guess, like literary fiction or contemporary fiction. Born a Crime by Trevor Noah is another memoir. And then Three Stones Make a Wall by Eric H. Klein, which is a nonfiction book about archaeology. And I loved all of these books. I do think I'm going to be able to make the read 100 books goal this year, but I'm really trying to not stress out about it because my reading mood this year is so shifty and I'm just trying to take it easy because I don't want to push myself into a full-blown reading slump. And I feel like if I read 90 books or 110 books or 100 books, it doesn't really matter. Like, it's still a lot of books, or so I at least try to tell myself. I think what I want to try to focus on a little bit for the rest of the year is to read a little bit more translated books, a little bit more books by authors of color, and then try to do a few rereads, and that's, we'll see how it goes. I think that was kind of it for the update though. Let me know if you made any reading plans or reading goals for this year and how you're doing with them so far. And yeah, as usual, links to my Patreon and other social media will be in the description if you're interested, and I will see you soon. Bye!